News with myself, Salailo Makwidiri. The time is 10 minutes before the top of the hour, and this hour of news and views is proudly sponsored by Africa Muslims Agency. Africa Muslims Agency, a beacon of hope to communities in Africa and beyond for 35 years now. And we're going to turn our focus now on the ongoing crisis in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where the Rwandan-backed M23 rebel group has announced a unilateral ceasefire, and they're citing humanitarian concerns. This comes after weeks and weeks of intense fighting that saw the rebels seize Goma, a very, very critical city of almost 2 million people. A city that's very, very rich in minerals, and it's of strategic importance. The violence has been devastating. The United Nations reports that at least 900 people have been killed, thousands more injured, and hundreds of thousands displaced. The streets of Goma have been littered with bodies, and humanitarian groups are struggling to deliver aid to those caught in the crossfire. But But we asked the question: is this ceasefire a genuine step towards peace, or merely a strategic pause before further conflict? The Congolese government remains deeply skeptical, refusing to engage with M23, and instead of vowing to retake lost territory. Meanwhile, a regional summit at the weekend is set to bring together DRC President Felix Tshisekedi and Rwandan President Paul Kagame, raising hopes and concerns over what might come next. To help us unpack the situation on the ground, the humanitarian impact and the reaction to this ceasefire, we are joined by Shomari Muakndjwa of the Congolese Solidarity Campaign. Shomari, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Salam Media. Really appreciate you giving us your time this morning.
Yeah, thank you very much once again, and good morning to you and your viewers.
No, the pleasure's all ours. From what you're hearing, from what you're gathering, from those that are on the ground in the DRC, the communication you're hearing, what kind of reports are you getting? You know, we've been reading of mass graves and injuries and mass displacements. Is that the reality? Is that what the people of the DRC, particularly in Goma, are telling you about what's currently happening right now?
Yeah, thank you once again. Of course, the reality on the ground in Goma and the whole eastern part of Congo is very horrific. Since the capturing of Goma by M23, supported by Rwandan troop, Uganda, and there's some speculations that the Kenyan troop as well, they were involved in these attacks when taking the city of Goma. And after the taking of city of Goma, there are many bodies that unidentified bodies that were found on the street of Goma, in many houses, in the many stores that were being shot, others been to death by suspected by the M23, of course, because before they took over the city of Goma, there was no such killings happening when the DRC forces were in the control, and some of the international military like your SADC and the United Nations missions in DRC. But since the capturing of the Goma, the situation has worsened, and these announcements of the ceasefire is just a strategic for them, that they wanted to take Goma in order to return to the table of negotiations. I think negotiating with the M23 won't solve any problem, because this is not the first time. There have been so many negotiations going on since the creation of M23 in 2012, and the recent one, that was this Nairobi process, where M23 were called in the other armed groups to Nairobi in order to discuss and have a settlement, but they opted to pull out. The reason was Paul Kagame was not happy with the arrangement between the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda and Burundi. So they wanted to be also implicated into that deal. Because remember, Felix Tshisekedi went to Uganda and said, let's have a program that we can have roads and our two people having access to each other and to continue to do the trade. And he went to Burundi and do the same. But Rwanda was not invited, and that was one of the main reasons that Rwanda again ignited the M23 to restart their incursions until today, when they come and capture Goma. And they did not capture Goma alone, as I said in the beginning. They captured Goma by support of Rwanda. Some suspected that Uganda, of course, with Kenya.
Mm-mm. One thing this is, which is really really interesting is the Rwandan government repeatedly denying that they are backing M23 despite mounting evidence that that's the case. What do you make of that? We've heard that Paul Kagame last week, particularly when he came out blasting South Africa, blasting the SADC region, and just blasting everyone else. But one thing which he remains steadfast on is the fact that they are not backing M23. What do you make of this? And can we, at this point, say it's a known fact that the M23 rebels are backed by the Rwandan government?
Yeah, of course, the M23 is backed by the Rwanda government. M23 is Rwanda armed force. M23 they can wear as many flags, whatever names they wanted to give to themselves. It is a fact that the M23 is a Rwandan force and not a Congolese force. It is a strategy of Paul Kagame in order to continue making the eastern part of Congo as a battlefield for himself, in order for him to engage on the world stage, to be seen that he's a strategic leader. The fact of the matter is that when the Paul Kagame says, I followed the interview also, and when he says he was coming again blasting to SADC region and saying South Africa, Rwanda is not fighting on the border with the South Africa, but South Africa is fighting on the border with the Rwanda, near to the Rwanda, and that's why Rwanda is not engaging, but South Africa is engaging with the Rwanda. The fact of the matter is that the Congo can invite whoever he wants to. Like when Congo Zaire back then invited the Rwanda, Burundi, and Uganda to come and help to house Mobutu. Rwanda was not accusing him. The fact of the matter, when they are saying that now South Africa is helping the FDLR, that they are fighting together with the Congolese army trying to attack Rwanda. The fact of the matter is that when Paul Kagame, they had a good relationship between Tshisekedi and Paul Kagame. He did not see this FDLR. He didn't see them. When he went to Kinshasa, he did not talk about that. But the minute his deal did not come into, when he was not involved into deal, then the M23, the FDLR issue comes. When Kagame says his soldiers are not participating in the war, indeed is insulting the intelligence of international community. Again, let me repeat this. When Kagame denies vehemently that his soldiers are not in the Democratic Republic of Congo, he is insulting the intelligence of all international community. They are soldiers and Rwandan soldiers in DRC. Not today, they did since 1996, they've been there, and they never pull out. Rwanda was given a lot of time to go and hunt the FDLR. Not one occasion, not two occasions, not three occasions. And I will allow, maybe people, they should also follow the interview of Kayumba Nyamwasa, who was a former chief of staff of Rwandan army. They must follow his interview on News Africa, so that they can know the reality. This is a person who was there. And he said Rwanda has been stealing the mineral of Congo since 1996. It's almost 30 years now. Rwanda has been given a lot of time with the international community to continue with this impunity without any sanctions. And that's why he can deny, because he knows he's got the backing support with the United Nations, he's got the backing support with the European Union, he's got the backing support with the US. So he can deny, and they will try to shut these things out. The fact of the matter is that there is a report that the expert of the United Nations released. Is almost how many years now, what is called the mapping report. Why are they not bringing this to the fore, so that people, they can know what exactly happened since 1993 to date? They don't want to release this report. They hide this report and trying to wipe Rwanda to see Paul Kagame is an innocent here, or is a victim of the war, and rather than being a perpetrator. We have been tired. 30 years on, we are tired. But let me just convey this message to South African government and the South African people, that their soldier dying in Congo, it's not going in vain. Congo will not remain the way it is today. Congo will raise, and they will not forget you for whatever sacrifice that you have given to us. We know we have suffered during apartheid. Maybe we did not play a crucial role to us to for us to help you. But this time we are not going to forget. And the message to Paul Kagame will be, his days are numbered. They were Mobutu Sese Seko, they were the Mussolini of Italy. They were the Adolf Hitler of Germany. They are no longer here. But the sign he's giving to he's leaving to his country, it's going to be a very gloomy one. And his people will regret time to come.
And I think we're going to leave it on that note, Shomari. Thank you so much for giving us your time and for that update. Really, really appreciated. And I'm sure we'll be catching up with you as, the issue out in Eastern Congo continues to unfold. And South Africa with very, very keen interest in that part of the world. And, we have boots on the ground. So it's very, very important to continue updating our people on what's happening there. Really appreciate it. And thank you so much.
I think you are really appreciated too. Thank you very, very much.
That was Shomari Muakndjwa. He's a Congolese Solidarity member of the Congolese Solidarity campaign, and he's been giving us the latest out of the DRC and the situation in that part of the world, which right now there seems to be a ceasefire which has been declared by the M23 rebels, but it's quite concerning because the DRC soldiers themselves, they have vowed to take back Goma. They're saying this is not the end. They vowed to retake Goma and all of its surrounding areas. And one just wonders if the fighting resumes, how bad could things get in Eastern DRC and South Africa's role? Are we going to see a change? We've seen that yesterday the Minister of Defense was I think giving a report to Parliament on our soldiers out in Eastern DRC, and a lot of questions were raised. Many in Parliament believing that there should be a total recall of our soldiers because they aren't fully armed. They don't have the right resources, and this is essentially a mission that they won't win unless the South African government and the Defense Ministry makes sure that they are fully equipped, makes sure that they send even more personnel there. Otherwise, a total recall. Because this is going to be a suicide mission by a lot of South African politicians. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting times ahead, and I think what's happening in the DRC does require a lot of attention. This is happening at our doorstep. The DRC is 2 or 3 countries away from South Africa, and as I mentioned, we have boots on the ground. We have interests in the DRC as South Africa, and we are one of the countries which have bear the responsibility of being brokers of peace in that region. So it's very important that we keep a close and keen eye on what's happening there because it does affect us directly. We've come to the end of the show. It's been another interesting one. Thank you so much for staying with us for the past 2 hours. If you've missed any of the interviews that we've had, you can head out to our various social media platforms to check out the podcasts and the live recordings, particularly on YouTube, of the interviews that we've had. I'll be back with you again for the Wednesday edition of News and Views. We have the State of the Nation address tomorrow by President Cyril Ramaphosa. So that's one thing to look forward to as the president of South Africa. I miss all of these crazy things that are happening in South Africa and internationally, particularly with South Africa involved. It would be interesting to see how a president reacts, his body language, some of the plans that he has outlined for South Africa because of these recent developments. DRC obviously going to be the top of their agenda. Israel and Palestine obviously going to be top of their agenda. US America and our bilateral relations, which are seemingly in the freezer right now, is definitely going to be top of the agenda. Not forgetting internally the government of national unity and the work that they plan on doing in the next 4.5 years when it comes to taking the country forward. That's going to be particularly of interest and under the microscope. So there's going to be a lot happening tomorrow. And right here on Salam Media, we'll be giving you the latest coming out of the State of the Nation address out in Cape Town, and I'll be with you again tomorrow from 8 until 10 on the Wednesday edition of News and Views. But I'm not leaving you just like that. I'm leaving you with one of my favorite segments of the show is hashtag Fired Up with Hafez Imran Chunara. He's the CEO of Africa Muslims Agency, and today's topic is who owns you? Really interesting. Take a listen. I'll be with you again tomorrow, but for myself and the rest of the team, it's Shap Shap.